The IAAPA 2025 Expo, held November 17th through 21st at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, brought the global attractions industry together for a week of innovation and big reveals. From new ride vehicles like Dollywood's upcoming Night Flight Expedition to the highly anticipated unveiling of Phantom Theater, opening Nightmare at Kings Island, the show floor was packed with excitement. Beyond the attractions themselves, IAAPA served as a hub for forward-thinking discussions on the future of the industry, including breakthroughs in AI, AR, and VR technologies and sustainability.
He's Don. I'm Ryan. This is Tower Topics.
Our Topics, it's available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, so be sure to hit subscribe and stay up to date on all things Kings Island.
You know, we love IAAPA and we're going to talk about it, but let's talk about something we really love, our prestige members. I want to give a big shout out to Miss Mandy, 1983, Lil Mac, 21, Brian Hauser, 330T, Aaron Bort, Jacob Fix, Damon Barnes, Dakota Cole, Eric Grau, Dustin Jackson, Songstress Miku, Medic 302, Eastern Coaster, guys and girls, Justin Y, Mike Garrett, Galaxy B-Boy, and Greg Eversol. I want to thank you guys for supporting Tower Topics at the highest level. That's the prestige level. If you want to be involved in Tower Topics, there's a link in the description. Members get early access to the videos, exclusive content, exclusive live streams, and some tiers even get some free stuff. So hit that link if you're interested. Memberships start at $2.99.
So Ryan, another IAAPA Expo has come and gone in Orlando, but there were a lot of exciting things that were unveiled last week and a lot of key takeaways from IAAPA. So, what were some of the things that grabbed your attention?
Yeah, I compiled a list as of this recording of some of the most interesting things. Some of this stuff is stuff that's going to parks. Some of it is concepts. But what we'll do is we'll talk about the key takeaways and maybe even a little bit of what are the chances of something like this coming to Kings Island at any point in the future. But let's kick it off by a ride that no one seems to really care about. This night flight thing by Mock Rides at Dollywood. You ever heard of this thing?
It's a game changer.
Oh my gosh.
Not only for Dollywood, but for the industry. $50 million attraction. Can't wait to ride it. And this was one of the highlights for a lot of attendees at IAAPA, was seeing these boats being unveiled.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It floats, it flies. $50 million attraction. I cannot wait to see what that looks like, because I love dark rides, and I love Disney and Universal and stuff, but some of their dark rides are too perfect. So I feel like this will be a perfect mix of the best possible dark ride while still having a little bit of that campy charm to it. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And with all things Dollywood, it all starts with storytelling. And I think this is going to do that very well. Part of the story of Wildwood Grove. So I can't wait to experience that in the spring when it opens. And let me tell you, having done a construction tour, it's massive. The building for this, we're talking like the size of 4 football fields. I mean,
it's massive. Acres, isn't it?
Yeah, and what they're going to do outside, in the plaza area and all that, it's going to simply look amazing when you go to Dollywood next year.
Sure is. The next unveil that we saw was Dutch manufacturer Vekoma Rise unveiled a ride vehicle for its first suspended dark ride. I do find this very interesting. SeaQuest Legends of the Deep debuting in 2026 at SeaWorld Orlando.
This was one of the things that that kind of a vehicle was something that there was a lot of speculation that's what Dollywood was going to be like, something like that suspended. But this is pretty exciting. I was intrigued by this.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the SeaWorld parks, especially in Orlando, a lot of people are kind of naysaying them, as the locals are especially. But I think this is a really good opportunity to really kind of make their mark. They've added a lot of roller coasters, but I feel like with the right amount of money, anybody can build a great roller coaster. But having like an immersive experience that's educational and emotional and makes that connection, that's something that SeaWorld can really harp on. And this is a great opportunity to do that.
I agree.
All right. Next up, the best looking vehicles maybe to ever exist. But
That is so cool, though. Go ahead and explain it.
yeah, Intamin unveiled the cars for Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift set to open in 2026 at Universal Studios Hollywood. Wow.
Yeah, I was impressed with this. I thought, how cool is that? And it almost makes you want to, plan a visit out to the West Coast, doesn't it?
I am so going out to the West Coast to ride this thing. It's testing now. It's testing at full speed. It's going to be a great ride. It's going to look good. It's going to tell a story. And now we have seen this vehicle before. It debuted at the park several months ago, but this is probably a lot of people's first time seeing it in person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen it with, from the kind of angles that were taken at IAAPA that I saw on social media.
Yeah. Now, this is what's rumored to come to Universal Orlando to replace Rip Ride Rocket. But we haven't really tied anything back to Kings Island. A lot of these things are kind of out of Kings Island's league, especially right now. This is probably $100 million roller coaster, but I wish they would work with Intamin again, because if you can get products like this, even if it's not as big of a ride, I'd love to see something like this that I can ride every
I'm
weekend.
a big Intamin fan. I think that Millennium Force, one of my favorite coasters, so I would like to see Six Flags Kings Island working with them again.
All right, so Intamin also revealed a concept for a new trackless dark ride system. This, as a partnership with EFT Ride Systems, will give a more broad market for a ride system that's typically limited to the most expensive parks. So this is the trackless stuff. Think like Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and even Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and stuff like that.
Right.
These things are very prevalent in Europe. You don't see a lot of them at independent parks in the United States. They're all over Disney and Universal, but it really is one of the best systems for any ride, because if you don't have track, it kind of helps you get more into the illusion.
It does. It sells the experience better.
Exactly. Here's a fun one. So Zamperla showcased a new inclusive drop tower, Wings with a Z, debuting at Morgan's Wonderland, and also in got ahead of myself. So this is debuting at Morgan's Wonderland. This is accessible. You can actually roll a wheelchair onto there and strap in, and it spins around and has a drop tower kind of effect. So it's for people that are not wheelchair bound and those who use a wheelchair.
Yeah, I like the versatility there, that it's all inclusive. Anybody can do it. So I think that's a good thing.
Is there a broad appeal for that? Like, a lot of these things, $50 million, $100 million. This isn't that. But do you think that there would be a appeal for this at a park like Kings Island?
I mean, it would complement the ride lineup. It would not be a headliner. It would not be, something that's going to bring, guests from outside of, 100-mile radius to the park to do this. But yeah, I think it would certainly, be a nice complement to the ride lineup that they have.
Do you think it's particularly appealing that you can just roll a wheelchair directly on it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, there are a number of, families and individuals that don't visit parks because it just feels too difficult, to experience the rides and the attractions. And this would be, something that, would help ease that a little bit and make the day a little bit more enjoyable.
Now, I want to also point out, by the way, this is so going to go to Give Kids a World Village. Come on. Because Zamperla has made other custom things that can take wheelchairs that are, my understanding, not publicly available on the market, commercially available. But I do want to give a shout out to Zamperla for, every coaster has some sort of thing where they can get somebody with different abilities on or whatever. But Zamperla really thinks about it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I like Zamperla. I think, they do a lot of really good things.
They do. And they also do some really great things, like a announcement of a different roller coaster type. So it's they announced a compact triple launch double heart coaster. This is going to Lotte World at South Korea. Is it Lotte or Latte World? I think it's Lotte World.
I think Lotte, it looks like to me.
I feel like we're so American. We want to say latte, like pumpkin spice latte. But Lotte World's an indoor amusement park in Seoul, I believe. But this is a launch coaster. It's like a shuttle kind of coaster. They've announced other rides similar to this. I think it's a double heart, but this is a triple.
Yeah, triple.
So that's cool.
Yeah, triple launch, double heart.
Yeah, just like me. All right.
Yeah. All right. It looks like it'd be fun. Interesting.
No doubt. It reminds me of that. What's the Premier Rides thing? This is not Skywarp. That's like kind of like Tigress at
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know I
I know
can't.
what you're talking about.
It's something too. It's a sequel, but that's what it reminds me of. But this seems like it's even bigger. Next up, Tormento, world's tallest dive coaster, coming to Six Flags Over Texas, had a vehicle unveiled. They actually unveiled it at the park at the same time. They had a live stream from the park, and they unveiled it at the exact same time. And they had pyro at the park. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was a
So
nice unveiling. There's, I mean, it's to me, I'm excited about it. I think um, the vehicles look great. Then there's others like it's, ho hum. It's just your typical B&M kind of a thing. But I like it. I think it's a sharp look.
it definitely gives the cowboy bull kind of thing. I think it's really cool. Do you know that they're trying to get him to change the name because a tormento implies that you're torturing animals or something? There's always something. There's always
That was
something.
within like minutes of the announcement that that was going to be the name of the ride. You started to see that popping up out there.
Yeah. Hey, Six Flags in collaboration with Sally Dark Rides announced Phantom Theater opening Nightmare. Never heard of it.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We've talked about that on a previous episode, and um, can't wait to experience it. I thought the unveiling was really well done.
I feel better. I was really worried about it because like I was afraid that it was going to be like, oh, Phantom Theater's cool, dude. You got to go to Dollywood for Night Flight Expedition.
Yeah,
But because I was really afraid that they weren't going to do it right. Now that I'm confident that they will, I feel like they're going to be such different experiences that you're not going to be able to compare them together.
right.
So it's not like you should bypass Kings Island to go to Dollywood. It's more like they've got a haunted house at Kings Island, because that's what this is,
Hmm.
And they got Night Flight Expedition at Dollywood, which is more of a the Night Flight Expedition definitely fits the mold of that family thrill ride that we were supposed to get in 2026.
That's right.
More so than Phantom Theater opening Nightmare. Although I am not disappointed with Phantom Theater opening Nightmare in the least.
Not at all. Not at all. It'll be like exciting. Is it going to be the most exciting new ride next year? Is it going to win a golden ticket? No, but it's going to be a great addition for Kings Island.
Night Flight, just by dollars alone, Night Flight's going to get the best new attraction. But if they finish second with this, I think they should be pretty happy. Because they're not, it's not going to be compared to a coaster or whatever, because that's going to go to Hollywood Drift or Tormento or something. Next up, Brogan Technologies, joined by Alexander Costa, CEO of Cacao Show Park. I hope I pronounced that correctly. They share new details of a flying theater attraction coming in 2026 to Sao Paulo, South America's first immersive theme park.
I like these kind of attractions. I think they're fun.
I do too. It's when Soarin' came out at Epcot, it was so original. And well, I think it came out at the other Disney first, but it seems like these are pretty readily available to a lot of parks out there, which is cool. It's changeable too.
Yeah, exactly. It's changeable. I think that these are the kind of rides again that complement your ride lineup if you put something like this in. So I like them.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of diversity in it. So you can change the video, you can do all that stuff. Because just think like Disney World and I'm obviously talking about a Denver manufacturer, but
Right.
let's be honest here, it's probably the same kind of deal. But they had Soarin' over California, they switched it to Soarin' over the world. Every once in a while, they'll just be like, hey, it's Soarin' over California for a couple weeks. And then they're doing another one like Soarin' over the USA or something. So imagine, like, let's say Kings Island has something like this, and then they could have a haunt version and a Winterfest version and a Carnival version. Like that's
Change
all
it.
there.
Yeah, you keep changing it out. I think it's a very versatile ride for you.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Canadian company Triotech showcased 3 new attractions: Electric Fun Fair, Energize, and Crazy Carts, all planned for a new family entertainment center opening in Montreal next summer. Just wanted to give them a shout out. it's funny because more family family entertainment centers are adding rides. So you see way more of a presence of these smaller rides that can be installed indoors at these places.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen 75. This would be perfect for all three of these for a place like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was there when they bought their coaster. I remember talking to
Hmm.
the owner, and he said, like, yeah, I'm thinking about this. And I said, well, I've got a friend that's a GM of one of those parks that has one, and reached out to him. And he said that he loved it and it's easy to work on and it's their biggest money maker. And he's like, all right, I'll buy it. And they bought it. That's why you have them in Dayton and Columbus. And I don't think they have it in Cincinnati, but, then you and I were there when they bought that, I think it's Mosier. It's Mauer or Mosier, the drop tower that went to
Yeah.
Columbus. We were talking to them, and I think Jonah, the former CEO, said that he was thinking about that. And I'm like, oh, that's a pretty exciting ride. But yeah, FECs are definitely kind of on the rise. And it's cool because they can be year round. You can do Scene 75 and ride rides and stuff when it's 12 degrees outside, no problem. Next up, Storyland Studios announced it's developing a new theme park concept in a partnership with comedian Nate Bargatze. Is that how you pronounce it?
Bargatsky.
Bargatsky, Nate Land Company. A feasibility study for more than 100-acre Nashville project is expected to be completed in early 2026.
This is exciting for me because years ago, when they had Opryland, I had a season pass, mid 80s to around 1991, 92. So I had a season pass, loved the shows that they had there. Fun park. Fans, or, I guess you could say, the residents of Nashville, I mean, they all loved Opryland. They miss it. There's a void there, and you look at all the cities, in the United States, and you think, which cities, need a theme park. Nashville, right there at the top of the list. Houston would be at the top of the list for me. But the thing with Nate here, love him as a comedian. If you haven't seen him, go to YouTube or whatever, and just he's hilarious with that. But he grew up in Nashville, was always at Opryland, loved it, realized that there's a void there. So I like the fact that, you have somebody that's, from Nashville, they want to bring something back that's been lost. And, I'll be one of the first people to go when it opens. I think this will be a lot of fun. Will it have the big new major, or the big, giga coasters and all that? No. But will it be fun? Will it be worth, going to? Absolutely. Will it fill a void in Nashville? Absolutely.
What will Nashville get first? A major theme park or an MLB team?
They will get this park from him.
Okay.
He's committed. He's got the resources, the partners, and everything to make it happen.
Honestly, if I had to put my saving grace on one person, I would certainly do it on a Kansas City Chief rather than some comedian. Thank you, Travis Kelce. Maybe they'll team up and they'll make a really funny football team. It'll be like the Harlem Globetrotters of football. Anyway, SNS officially unveiled their Rail Rider single rail design. This is intended to be more of a family-friendly version of the single rail coasters and similar in spirit to the RMC Raptor designs that have been out at several parks over the past decade or so. Coaster Studios got to go out to the SNS factory building, whatever, in Logan, Utah, and ride it, and they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they did have good things to say about it. It looks fun. There are parks that, this is certainly a fit, for their lineup.
I could see this at Kings Island. I could see that, like, if you want to do a family thrill kind of thing.
Kings Island, Kings Dominion, Worlds of Fun. It would fit in real nice at those kind of parks.
Yeah. Next up. This one blew my mind, and I'm so excited for it. Indiana Beach will debut Zero Gravity, the return of a classic rotor-style ride. This time being manufactured by SBF Visa. Cool. I didn't know they made these things anymore.
I know. It's been years, since one was introduced or put into a park, and that was one of my all-time favorite rides, starting at Cincinnati's Coney Island, and then it went to Kings Island. Loved it. So it was kind of exciting to hear it's coming back. You give it enough time in this industry, things always find a way to make themselves, reappear again. So I'm excited about this. Visit the Indiana Beach is certainly, on the board in the foreseeable future here.
Now I kind of have to. I rode something like this at Space Camp, but it was a lot more controlled because you were belted into a specific spot. But I was watching videos of this particular ride. It looks like Indiana Beach bought it at IAAPA, or at least that's what kind of the sign implies. But you could see the outlines of people, and they were like really high up there. So I wonder if it's like the old rotor where
the floor drops and you're stuck to the wall, just because of the force. I think this is when you think of Indiana Beach, this is the perfect kind of ride for Indiana Beach.
Sure. It's one of the oldest kinds of rides, but it's also one of the newest, hottest manufacturers.
Exactly. What's old is new again. So maybe this gives me hope that someday the Tumblebug will make its way back to Kings Island.
Come on, SBF Visa. Reach out to Travis Kelce and also be our. I thought people would be like, society as a whole was not be smart enough to be able to handle this ride.
Yeah.
By the way, that's why
I just rode the Turtle at Kennywood, and it just brings back so many memories of riding the Tumblebug at Kings Island and Coney Island. I was like, they've got to find a way to bring this back it belongs at Kings Island, with a ride like that. Just a lot of history in there. I mean, it families have so much fun on it. Is it going to be that ride that everyone's going to line up to buy season passes for? No, but it's going to make their day at the park that much more fun and enjoyable and memorable when you have a ride like the Tumblebug there, or something like this with Indiana
I feel
Beach
like this. I haven't been to Indiana Beach yet. I'm definitely going this coming year. This will be my favorite flat ride there. It's got to be. I mean, come on, look at that thing. That's
how
so
can it not?
cool.
Yeah, I mean it's but I look at this and I'm thinking, okay, Indiana Beach has it. I mean, but you could see that in Adventureport, somewhere in, where it used to be.
Area 72.
It was called Oktoberfest. Area 72. I don't know if it would fit.
It looks like a spaceship.
You could put it there, but I don't know. I think it's when you talk, maybe Coney Mall. Just put it out in the middle of Coney Mall.
We'll never come to an agreement on this. All right. So as the kids say, SNS Shadow dropped this one. So this is a major, looks like launched multi-looping coaster along with a giant triple drop tower. And this is going to go to Mangoes on International Drive. And this is the location where the Polar Coaster, the 500-foot roller coaster, was going to go. So no update on when it's going to open, details, anything like that as of this recording, but this is the plan.
I think this is a kind of ride for me that it's a lot more fun to take photos and video of it than it would be to ride it.
I would ride it. It's funny because I keep on thinking like, oh, that kind of looks like Steeler. What's the Steelers ride called at Kennywood? Steel Curtain. Yeah, but it doesn't. It kind of looks like the Zamperla double heart roll thing that they announced. So it's funny how these compact multi-launch like shuttle loop-ish designs are really what's popular at the moment.
I like it and everything. That it wouldn't be something I would ride repeatedly. I'd ride it on a visit. If it was, say, it's at Kings Island, I'd ride it. One time, but it wouldn't be something that I would ride over and over again. It wouldn't have the same appeal to me that so many other rides at Kings Island have. But there's a lot of guests that would absolutely love this.
So this one was not on my bingo card. Family Kingdom in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is approximately the size of, a small neighborhood maybe. Single rail Raptor from RMC. It's supposed to open in 2026. How cool is that?
That was a little surprising, but I mean, I think it'll be, something that we'll be looking forward to seeing the reviews and everything on this.
So Family Kingdom, they have Swamp Fox, I think it's called, not Swamp Thang. I've only been there once. It was fun. It's a pay per attraction thing. So that might work to their advantage with like the single rail kind of stuff because it's not of great capacity. This might be one or two trains.
That's one of the things that I think, would hurt it in a bigger park would be the capacity.
So for a park like Cedar Point or Kings Island, they would have to do, well, I think they could do it, but it would be like like Rip Ride Rocket, where it's like 6 trains with a moving floor. Like
Yeah,
that would
you'd
be
have
the
to
only way.
yeah, you'd have to really find a way to boost the capacity to have it at a bigger park.
Right. And coming up the rear, this, as of this recording, not a lot of details out on there, but Great Coasters International, GCI, announced several ride concepts involving what's seemingly their Titan track. They're calling it hybrid coasters, and they run everything from little family coasters to some shuttle things, kind of like the one that was at ZDTs that was made by Gravity Group. Yeah. And even some that are inverting and stuff. So they are officially in the steel coaster business now. You know,
Yeah.
and what's funny is we talked to Jeff Pike. We had him on the Attractions Group podcast, and I asked him if there was ever plans to do coasters that were fully Titan track, and he said that that wasn't the plan. He said this is for different sections, and they want to keep, you know, wood coasters to be wood coasters unless it's absolutely necessary. But I always thought that there was way too much potential to
I
not
felt
do that.
too that there, you know, the potential was there to do that. This certainly would be a lot more maintenance friendly than, you know, having the full, you know, wood coaster structure and design and track and everything. So the traditional wooden coaster. So, you know, from an efficiency standpoint in terms of your maintenance costs and everything, you know, this is not a bad option for you to look at them for this.
Yeah, so this would be with the Infinity Flyer trains. Obviously, they've got a tighter turning radius, and they can take inversions, and they can have they're standardized so they can have negative G's up to like a half negative G. So true airtime, not just, you know, feeling slightly weighted. You know, I'm not a wordsmith enough to talk about G's. I'm not an engineer, but yeah, that's what we've seen at IAAPA so far. So a mixture of, again, concepts as well as what's coming to different parks. I'm also honestly grateful to be a fan of a park where you don't find out via IAAPA what's coming the next year. You know, like Indiana Beach, I feel like could have made a big deal and an announcement out of their new ride, and you know, a bunch of these, like they're announcing roller coasters at IAAPA. Um, I'm glad that we get to have, like, that's our moment. Kings Island's making their announcement this Thursday, and then, you know, other like little bits of meat such as the characters from Phantom Theater being revealed. I think that's a really cool way to do it. I'm grateful that
Yeah,
that's what
I think, yeah, like the characters, ride vehicles being unveiled, I think that's fine for IAAPA, you know, but I do like the idea that you have your own announcement at your park when you're putting something new in.
Yeah. We'll be right back with the listener questions.
And now it's time for the Tower Topics listener questions.
First listener question. This is Michael from Louisville, Kentucky. He said, "Hello, Don and Ryan. I saw that Six Flags is making it a priority to close or sell off more parks. I would figure the higher performing parks are safe, such as Kings Island, Cedar Point, Magic Mountain. Which parks do you think are more likely to be closed or sold off? Love the show and thank you."
You know, they definitely have to, you know, find a way to generate some revenue, and that's going to be either through the closure of parks or selling the land in that or selling the parks. Uh, but everyone thinks, oh, they're going to sell the lower performing parks, you know, Michigan's Adventure, Worlds of Fun, Great Escape. They start naming all these different parks that are kind of at the bottom end, but you got to remember, you know, if they're all low performing, who wants to buy those, right?
Mhm.
So no one's going to buy those parks without having, you know, you're not going to buy the lemons. We'll use the word lemons, but those are all great parks. Let's be clear about that. I mean, they're
Sure.
all really good, but no one's going to buy those parks without having, you know, a sweetener in there. So you would have to throw in a major park. You know, everyone thinks that Kings Island is untouchable. It's not. You know, if the price is right in the situation that they're in right now, they'd sell. You know, if somebody came up and said, "We'll give you X billion for Kings Island and these 2 or 3 other parks," done deal. You know, they're going to
Mhm.
do it. So no park in the chain is really untouchable in the situation that they're in right now. It's not good. You know, the parks, even the ones that perform well, they're not. It's not enough to carry the company. So they're going to have to make some really, really hard decisions, and some of that might be involving, you know, moving what they call a crown jewel within the chain. You know, one of the top 5 or 6 performing parks, because the only way you're going to get somebody to take 2 or 3 of the other ones is to put one of those in the deal. So, you know, which ones it would be, I don't know. It's, you know, when you look every day at the stock price and, you know, and lately how it keeps going down and down and down, and, you know, new 52 week lows, you know, almost every day and stuff. It's, it's not good to see. And, it remains to be seen, but they are in a situation because of the debt, they're going to have to sell some properties. And whether that is to someone that wants to keep them as an amusement park, or, somebody sees that land is really valuable and, hey, that'd be a great place to put condominiums, who knows? But we'll see. Nothing I don't think is going to happen overnight. I think everything's going to be fine going into 2026. Some of these deals, if you're trying to sell something, it does take, 9, 10, 12 months, to close in those deals. So I think all the parks in the Six Flags portfolio should be okay for 2026, unless they pull a real surprise on us and just close it to save some money on the operating cost while they try to sell the property. But I think end of 2026, beginning of 2027, that's the earliest that you would start to see that, things have been sold, closed, or whatever.
There are 4 possible outcomes for each individual park. All right. Number 1 is it sticks around. So no matter what happens to Six Flags, whether it's bought out, goes bankrupt, comes back, it's able to pull themselves out. Our Lord and Savior Travis Kelce saves us. Some of the parks are going to still be there. Another possibility is that the park is closed due to operational. We're talking about Six Flags America. The park probably didn't make money. And that's why they closed it without a buyer. Other fate is the land is worth more than the park. And I hate to say this, you mentioned Magic Mountain. I'm a little worried for that park because that land is incredibly valuable. So that park makes money. It certainly does, but they could probably offer them 10 years worth of revenue to buy the land out from under it.
Yeah. And when you're, you're having strong performance, as a company, you're in the position where you can turn down those kind of overtures.
Mhm.
But when you're that deep in debt and somebody comes to you with an offer for your property, you might not want to sell the park, but you got to do it. It's that or bankruptcy. What are you going to do? Right. So it's just, not the best time right now for, the parks and the Six Flags chain, and a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties. If you work for Six Flags, you probably want to have your resume, updated, because you don't know day to day what might happen. But I'm still optimistic that the better days are ahead for Six Flags, and that might not be until 2027, 28. But I'm still a believer in Six Flags, and I think that they'll find a way to right the ship and get this headed north, and that may happen with a few parks that have been sold off, or whatever it happens with that. But we'll see.
Yeah. The other possibility is selling to another operator. I don't see that. Who would buy them?
Yeah. This is the lower ending part. Yeah. Without something, without that carrot, somebody said, we'll give you Canada's Wonderland if you take these 3 parks off our hand. That's attractive to somebody. We'll give you Kings Island. We'll give you Six Flags Great American Chicago. That becomes a little attractive to people. But if you just say, here's these 4 parks, they're our lowest performing parks, that's not going to get a deal done.
Well, even if it did, would that be enough for you?
No.
And but when we talk about the low performing parks, the ones that are operationally risky, the last quarterly call, they mentioned some of the parks that were in the individual profiles, and we're probably thinking like Michigan's Adventure and maybe not Great Adventure, the
Great Escape.
Great Escape. Yeah. They said that they made margins in the 7 figures. They said for the individual portfolios, that was fine. But for a company this big, they can't be wasting their resources on something like that.
Exactly.
So that might be a candidate for, if their margin is that thin, like what if they have a ton of rain in upstate New York? I mean, they could lose money on a park. I don't think that Six Flags America, I want to backtrack on something I said. I don't think Six Flags America was losing money. I don't think it was making a lot of money, because I think if it was losing money, it would have closed a long time ago.
Yeah, not enough to make a difference.
Right. So why risk? I mean, especially, with how crazy people are and stuff. Like if there was a shooting in the parking lot or something, it's got the dumbest thing they did was name every park Six Flags, because nationally people are going to hear something that happens at Six Flags over Georgia, and the people who live in California are going to assume that they mean Six Flags Magic Mountain. I think that's the worst PR thing that could ever be done. You don't ever, and why would you want to brand your parks like that? Oh, it's for the quality. No, it's not. You want people that are traveling to go to different parks to want different experiences, not the same. You know, I go to McDonald's here or in Seattle, I get the same food, but I'm not going to go to Seattle to go to McDonald's, you know? So that was a stupid mistake. I could see them. It's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to be dumb and every park is going to be Six Flags in 10 years, or they're going to be smart and they're going to rename all the parks back to what they originally were. You know?
Yeah, and that'd be easy to do with a lot of them. You know, it just would be Great Adventure instead of Six Flags Great Adventure. It'd just be Magic Mountain again. Just be Great America in Chicago. You know, so I don't know that it. I think the Six Flags branding helps you when you're making a lot of purchases and that. That's where it's valuable to you. You know, but in terms of trying to put people through your turnstiles, it's not.
It's not. And if anything, it's possibly a detriment. I would even say, like, I mean, isn't like Six Flags New England was something park, like, I don't know. They all have their own history. Like Six Flags over Georgia and over Texas and St. Louis are the only ones that have never had another name.
Right.
Um,
But you could, you know, I do think that you're right. There's a stigma attached to Six Flags in a lot of ways, and that does hurt, you know, in terms of people purchasing tickets and passes and wanting to go visit these parks versus a Disney, a Dollywood, a Holiday World, and all those kind of other parks out there. So I think if they
Yeah.
did drop that, it would help in that perspective in terms of driving attendance. It would be good not to refer to yourself as a Six Flags park, but you do need that Six Flags name though behind the scenes. You know, when you're dealing with the sponsors, the Coca-Colas, the Snickers, and all those other things, because you need to be able to say, I can get you in front of 41 parks.
Yeah.
You know?
No. I mean, the branding from a corporate level is fine. But what I would do, because I'm looking, by the way, it was bothering me. So Six Flags New England was Riverside Park.
Riverside Park. That was what it was called the first time I went to it. Remember
Really?
the Riverside Cyclone was the name of the wooden coaster that debuted. Back in the early, 80s. Loved that coaster. But yeah, it was Riverside Park, and the Screaming Demon. You know, they had not the Screaming Demon. There was another ride that was like that there, but I'm thinking of Camden Park there, but it was a good park. I had a good time there. Small, but then it gets acquired and they put the Six Flags name on it and all those other kind of things. But I would think a lot of the longtime locals there still probably refer to it as Riverside Park.
Sure. I mean, how long did we refer to Kings Island as PKI after the Cedar Fair buyout?
I never called it PKI or Paramount's Kings Island. I just called it Kings Island because that's what it was when I grew up.
So it was funny because for me, I mean, most of I visited once before Paramount, but for me, it was like the term Kings Island seemed kind of naked without Paramount in front of it. So like,
so for me, it was awkward to call it that, so for me, I got there right after it was sold to Cedar Fair. I would have, as a PR person, it would have been a little awkward for me to keep referring to it as Paramount's Kings Island in all the press interviews and that, so I still would have probably said Kings Island, and I would have been corrected to tell people, make sure you say it's Paramount Kings Island.
At least it's not as bad as Canada's Wonderland, where it was Paramount single, no possessive. Paramount Canada's Wonderland, because Paramount's Canada's Wonderland is so grammatically bad that they wouldn't even do it.
Right.
So anyway, we could unpack this all day long, but it's going to be interesting. We're lucky where Kings Island, I feel like, is safe. I don't think that it would close or anything like that. Like, I think that's out of the realm of possibility, just at least in the foreseeable future. But it's one they would want to hold on to. I just don't know who would be a buyer. I mean, like everyone says Herschend. I mean, Herschend spent a lot of money in the past 6 months. I don't know if they'd be willing to take on. I mean, Lagoon is one thing. Kings Island is a whole other beast to take on, debt for that park that probably almost equals what the park entertainment parks were.
Right.
You know. Anyway, we could go on all night, but we're not going to do that. Ken from Cincinnati, Ohio said, "What's up? I like some of the recent illustrated images you've been posting, Don, but I thought you were against AI. What changed? Did Ryan talk you into using it?"
No, I think they're referring to here is on some recent social media posts. I made, some cartoon graphics out of some things. I had one post. If you are in the Tower Topics Facebook group, you might have seen a post that I made with, I put me and Ryan into the vehicles on Phantom Theater, and a couple of things like that. So just to have some fun with it. Ryan did not talk me into it. Ryan did. He continually assured me that it was safe to use, that it wasn't going to steal your information and all those other kind of things. But there's different, communications folks out there, companies that, I pay a lot of attention to. One of them, Reagan Communications, which is, based in Chicago, but I used to go annually to social media conferences they did at the Walt Disney Resort, and they're big believers in it. They don't, they feel that it's valuable. If you're a communicator, you're somebody that you're producing content on a regular basis, to kind of change a pace, instead of putting the same photo, from a press announcement with Phantom Theater, instead of putting that same photo that everybody has shared and it's, thousands of eyeballs have already been on it by the time they get to it in your feed. You have to be a little different sometimes, with that. And that's where AI could come in and make it more of a cartoon graphic or something for you. So, just to have a little fun the past couple of weeks, just playing around with it. That's all it is. For me, it's just something to, change a pace, have fun. I was never a graphic designer, so that part is a little fun for me to kind of take something and, I'd like it to look like this, and then tell it that, and it does it, for you. I had one drawing that I had a picture of the Grand Carousel at night at Kings Island, and just a beautiful picture. And I thought, I think this would look good as kind of like an illustration, almost like a cartoon graphic or something, and it came out awesome looking, so, you get a lot of people out there, they're against it. They say it's stealing jobs, all that. It's not. AI is not going to take your job. But AI will, what will happen is if you're going to lose your job to someone that knows how to use AI. Not that AI is taking your job. You just got to find out if you're a graphic designer, instead of every time somebody posts something, crying about it and, calling it AI slop and all the other things that they do, when they whine about it on social media. Anytime somebody uses that, is to, just realize that it's not taking anybody's job. And, and just based on what I've read and watched videos and things of, the folks from like Reagan Communications, they would tell you that it's not going to take your job. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows how to take AI and make it, help them do their jobs and stuff. But I think that it's very limited in what, I'm going to do with it. I think that, but for some different graphics and that, as frequently as I post on social media, it's not a problem to kind of change a pace or anything like that. Now, Ryan will use it for like the intros and stuff, voiceovers, polishing up, when there's a lot of background noise in that. At a press conference, we just witnessed that with the unveiling of the Phantom Theater characters at IAAPA. There was a lot of noise in the background. So it was hard to find a video that the audio was really clear. So Ryan used AI to help correct that. And I think that that's where the value in AI is. But, am I a big fan of it? No. But at the same time, there are times where, it's valuable to you. And I think for me, just in my social media feed, sometimes it's just changing up the pace. That's where it's going to be value for me and for Tower Topics in terms of, editing things with the show and graphics and voiceovers and that, there's value using AI for us.
Yeah. And I want to point out that, hey, turn this into a cartoon kind of stuff. They've had that for 10 years now. That's not like, some Chat GPT Model 5 or whatever. Like,
no,
that's like the most diet AI thing.
No. But the thing now, they're a little bit more, they're better looking than they were probably 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but the funny thing that I find is those that, will make that comment, AI slop, you're stealing jobs, you're stealing artwork and stuff from people who, all that kind of stuff, is that a lot of people that they're liking comments and things, they're using AI to write the posts and things for them. We can name some theme parks that we know, amusement parks that we know that will use AI to create some of their captions and things. Sometimes that's probably why some of the information might be wrong. But everybody uses it in a different way. I think that there's a problem using it, for probably like research and that, because I would think where it pulls from, you would have a lot of inaccuracies out there. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but when you would say, tell me about this or something, it would pull up what's posted on, like Reddit, fan forums, Facebook, X, and all that. And there would be a lot of incorrect information. It would put something together for you probably nicely, but it might not be accurate. So I wouldn't trust it for that, but just to have some fun, just to make some graphics, or if take a picture and just put, some copy on it, or a poster or something to say, hey, we're having a Tower Topics meetup, and put a picture of me and Ryan on it. I think for that purpose, it's fine.
So you mentioned using AI as a tool, that sort of thing. And there's an allegory that I heard a couple weeks ago that kind of fits into it, where a man walks up on a group of people that are digging a ditch with shovels, and he goes up to the foreman and says, "You have a backhoe right here. Why are you digging with a shovel? Why do you have those men digging with a shovel?" And he said, because if you use the backhoe, you're taking away all of these men's jobs. This way, they get to keep their jobs while they're digging this hole. And he said, well, why aren't they using spoons then? And it's true. I mean, and everything that's on the edge of technology, like there is a certain fear aspect and stuff. And honestly, like it could go pretty south with this AI stuff. And I, for one, welcome our AI overlords, by the way. But
here's the other thing, Ryan. We just talked about all the different things that were being unveiled at IAAPA, and one of the things that was there was the seminars and that on IAAPA, how the theme park industry, how the different people, if you're in social media, you're in PR, how you can use AI to help you do your job better. So if there wasn't a place for it, it wouldn't have had a place at IAAPA like that, to talk about it. It wouldn't be a focal point of all the social media conferences. I like reference Reagan Communications, but there's others out there that have these conferences and presenters and all that, and it's a big discussion that they have, how to use it in that. Like I said, I was against it for a long time. I didn't want to have it a possibility that steals information. I was a little guarded that way and stuff. But my wife uses it for, her business and stuff. So I thought, yeah, why not just have some fun? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right?
Exactly. And if you got your own questions, hopefully not generated by AI, because we'll totally be able to tell, send them to hosts@towertopics.com. That's HOSTS@towertopics.com. Your first name, the city you're from, as well as your question, comment, concern. Too cool to email? Well, me too. So you can send a text or a voicemail to 513-399-7538. That's 513-399-7538. If you send us a text, we may read it on the air. You send us a voicemail, we listen to every single one, and we play the best ones on the air. I'm Ryan. That's Don. And this is Tower Topics.